Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Joe Simpson. It is 5 a.m., and I'm not sure why I'm awake, but I am an early bird. Went fishing yesterday with my friend Matt. We got up really early, went out with his new kayaks, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And we had an awesome time. I caught, I think, the best fish of the year for me yesterday. So that was really exciting. And yesterday, my wife was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Home Goods?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Come on." And I'm like, "All right, I'll make you a deal. I'll go to Home Goods if you'll let me go over to Walmart while you're in Home Goods." So she made a deal with me. And of course, I had to go down in their bargain boxes down at the bottom of the shelves and sift through some things. So I thought, hey, this would be a good time to put together some good fall baits. So I have some baits for you, and I want to walk through those and talk about them. They're really basement bargain cheap, and they're things you should consider. They're really good ones. So let's just get started. First of all, in the fall, I like topwater, and topwater frogs are always a known and a given, and poppers also. But I think something that some people don't want to use sometimes are the stick baits because A, they may not know how to use them. B, they may not be able to throw them in certain places that they're fishing. And just otherwise, sometimes they're expensive. But if you get the ones made by Hedden, this one is called the Zara Puppy. This is a pretty nice looking bait, and I mostly pick these up for their color schemes. These are just a stick bait, no feather trebles, nothing special. The hooks are like mediocre. So on these baits, I would say use them until you can't use them anymore. The hooks will probably bend out on a real big fish, but for most of us pond fishermen and normal fishermen, they should work just fine. Here's the second one. It kind of has like a, I don't know, I call it like a yellow jacket or a bee pattern on it, but I don't think it matters. I think color, contrast, dark, light, yellow, white, I think all those things matter. But yeah, these are Zara Puppies. I got these for a couple bucks each. Now, I already have a lot of cotton cordell rattle traps. You can hear this thing making noise just by picking it up. This is a glitter shad color, and I bought this basically because of the color. I thought it looked really nice. We're fishing a bigger body of water over in Lake Ridge now, and I can get a little deeper, fish a little bigger, so I picked this up. Now, the one thing I will say about these next series of baits that I'm showing you, they have kind of like a copper or brass looking hook tone, and I do notice that these hooks will rust, especially if you put them back in your storage boxes wet. If they stay in a moist environment, these hooks will rust out on you. So like I say, use them while you can, and then when they start looking bad and scrubby, just order some new hooks. You can either get those good hooks from W Lure. I've done a video on those before, or you can get something like VMC or some other type of high-end brand treble. But take a look at this guy. Hopefully you can see it through the plastic, but it's got a really nice fish scale pattern with some silver, and it does have some glitter in the finish on this body. I thought it looked awesome, so I picked one up. I already have so many of those that I didn't want to buy too many. There was a couple craw patterns and different ones that I considered, but I was like, I'm just going to keep this to a minimum. Plus, I had to face my wife in the car afterwards, so I couldn't come out with like $100 worth of stuff, And again, I got that one for a couple bucks. This one's called the Bomber A4F. If anybody knows the diving depth on this, because I looked at this little guy and it doesn't really say on the package. I'm looking at it just thinking it looks like about a 4 to 6, but I can't tell. I'll know once I fish it. Nothing better than a square bill or a crankbait in the fall. These fish just are chasing baits and getting after different types of, bait fish. So throwing these little guys around, bouncing them off rocks, bouncing them off structure. It seems counterintuitive to want to take these lures and go pop them off of branches and rocks and things because you think you're going to get snagged, but surprisingly, these baits do really well around structure, better than you would think. This next one is a cotton cordell lure. This is a Big O Smoky Joe, which is near and dear to my heart, right? Because it's my name. But this is a square bill, and this one looks like a really nice one. Real good fish imitation color. I went with kind of natural colors on this. Just a darkened back, the shad dot on the side with the little red gill plate paint, and yeah, real basic. But yeah, this is just going to be one of those ones you pick up, throw on, and you pretty much know it's going to work. So I don't know what the actual name of this bait is, but I've used it several times and I've pinned some good fish. It has a really big side-to-side wobble. I really like this bait. I don't know why. It doesn't cast beautifully because it's a little flat and it picks up a lot of wind, but it's the CC Shad. Check this out. The CC Shad, this one is actually a true shad imitation. It's got a really big waggle back and forth, if that's even a word. Pat loves it when I make up these words. But yeah, this thing works pretty well. I've caught quite a few fish, and surprisingly, this thing has pinned pretty big fish. The color I like to use most of the time is this yellow color with like a dark black ridge. Real basic, real plain, but for some reason I tend to catch a lot of fish on this lure. So anytime I see it, I'll grab one or two. Now, one thing I'll say about this lure right here is that sometimes they can swim a little untrue, meaning they'll go a little left, a little right. The other day I sat in the boat and toyed around with trying to adjust the swimming pattern on this thing, but I would adjust the swimming pattern on this thing and it swam terribly and I could never get it back right. So, I mean, the good thing is I paid $1.50 for it, so I can just throw it out if it doesn't work. But yeah, these are all available at Walmart. These are all good fall baits. This is not even getting into chatterbaits and spinnerbaits and the things you can buy at Walmart. But I know a lot of fishermen who just love going to Walmart and buying up, all their inexpensive baits, and you can pimp them out and change out hooks and improve upon them and really make them nice. So don't be afraid to go in there and go after it. I mean, Dick's is a great resource, but sometimes they have the more expensive stuff. The other good square bill brand out there is KVD. And of course there's 6 Sense and there's the Guggen stuff and there's all kinds of different square bills, but it pays to go to like Walmart and Ollie's and these cheap stores and look for these occasional runs on these baits that you normally don't see on the shelf that maybe you've used in the past that have been pretty successful. So give those a look. The other thing I did was I went kayaking this weekend for the first time in my friend's new kayak. It's a FeelFree Moken 10. The FeelFree Moken 10, I don't know anything about it at all. He went to a shop and purchased that. And one attribute that thing has that I think is pretty cool is it has what they call the wheel and the keel. And so basically it's got like a roller wheel built into the kayak. So when you get it out of the water, you just lift up the front and it kind of rolls. Now it is a single wheel and it does teeter totter back and forth, but the handle in the front of the kayak allows you to take both arms behind your back and you can kind of just hold the front of the kayak with 2 hands and that helps you stabilize it and just drag it wherever you got to go. And it makes it so much easier. So it's a little bit heavier of a kayak than I'm used to carrying around. But the nice thing about it is, yeah, it's got the wheel, so it makes it so much easier to pull around. Now, on the water, I will say that it was very stable. We did have the seating position in the highest position, meaning that it was perched up. And so that was going to attribute probably to a little bit higher center of gravity, meaning that it feels a little bit more teeter-tottery. Now, I noticed that these had a little bit more of a V-hull than I'm used to seeing on most boats. And being that it's 10 feet and it kind of had a mild banana shape, like, like a boat shape, it did seem to, when I was fishing it, kind of rotate, a little more than I'm used to. It would track nicely though. The thing I did notice about it is like you'd paddle in to get towards shore and normally on my kayak, I just let off on the paddling and it just kind of stops moving. This thing would just keep drifting and drifting. So it has a really nice, smooth glide tracking pattern. So you had to be careful when you're tracking into something to make sure that you put on the reverse thrusters, so to speak, to keep from going in too far to the bank. The construction was outstanding. The detail and the additional features that are on that boat were really cool. The seat was super comfortable. Yeah, it was just great. And not to mention, first time on the FeelFree kayak, I nailed a giant, well, to me, it's a giant fish. I think it was about a 5-pounder with a chatterbait on that boat. So it was really fun to catch. It was really fun to just be close to the water when you're catching it. There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing kind of more exciting than catching a big fish in a kayak. It's a little awkward, but it's definitely exhilarating because you feel like you're just down in the water with the fish, but yeah, it was a good run. So yeah, I wanted to give you a walk around on the kayak and then also leave you with a couple of good fish catches and just say, hey, for the week, and hope you guys can get out, get a few of these fall baits, get out to the fishing spots and keep rocking. You guys take care. I'll talk to you soon. Tight lines. So my buddy took me out in his new kayak today. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and walk around this thing and give you a quick tour. I don't know probably as much about it as he does, but it's made by FeelFree. It's 10 feet and it's called the Moken 10. And it's got a really cool feature that I really like. So check it out. You pick this thing up. It's got a wheel in the keel, which is pretty cool. So you can drag this thing around one-handed, two-handed, and not be scuffing up the bottom of your boat, which is really nice. And it gives you some leverage to work with on this thing. So taking a quick look, of course you got your front cargo. First thing I'll say is this thing has a pretty deep V hull. I'm gonna tilt the camera down so you can see a little better. It's got a pretty deep V, and it's got a really comfortable seat. Good lumbar support, kind of keeps you up off, and you can set this seat down and up. So I had it in the upward position, and you can come up and go from here to a lower seated position to give you better center of gravity if you're like on a river or something. Of course, a couple built-in rod holders. Not exactly sure what that thing is. Oh, I see. That's an oar holder right here. These are like cams for an oar holder. And then this is your, of course, drain plug in the back, handle in the back if you got two people carrying it around. Mount rails, easily mount things to these. And yeah, he's got the paddle on here. Got some handles on the side, easy to grip and do things with. Standing pads, and you could pull the stand. I did stand up in this. It was not the greatest feeling in the world, but then again, my center of gravity is not awesome. And it does have a cargo bay here with a little latch in the front. You can stuff some safety stuff or put some things in that little lid there, which is kind of cool. Got some storage, and that's about it. I mean, it's I wouldn't even call it basic. I would say it's a pretty nice kayak. I think he said he was in the 650 range for this. Around 650 for this kayak 10-footer. And you can tell the plastic and the molding on this boat is a lot better than the kind you get like on my little Walmart boat and that kind of thing. So definitely a good looking boat, and it tracks nicely, move through the water pretty good. So yeah, just thought I'd show you that. Great day on the water, man. I'm glad he took me. Caught my biggest fish of the year. I'm perplexed. This place does that to you though. It'll shut you down sometimes. Yep, that's what they should be hitting. I'm trying something a little darker just to see. Maybe black and green, black and blue. Nothing, honey. There you go, Matt. Yeah. Chatterbait. Yeah. About 3-pounder. About a 3-pounder. Not a bad fish at all. Right in the top of the mouth. Got him. Pretty fish. Let's see if I can get a picture. I almost think I've caught him before. There you go, buddy. Take off. Just shallow coming out, and he tagged it. He gobbled it up. I felt my line go a little slack and I just went shunk. There you go, man. It's amazing how sometimes like you'll fish for 2 hours and get nothing, and all of a sudden you'll land like a giant fish and you're like, what the hell?
What, pound and a half? 2?
Oh, it might have been close to 3.
Really? Okay.
It's pretty good. Oh, well, 2.5. 2.5. Just being real. Oh, he swirled me. Got him. Got him. That's a good fish right there. Oh God, that's a much better fish. Oh, he's a 5. Matt, oh my God. Don't come off. Don't come off. Don't come off. Oh my God. Woo! Woo! That's you don't have a scale, do you?
No.
Dude, he was bouncing by the boat. Okay, ready? Hold on, hold on, hold on. That's a 5 and something. Holy schmolies, dude. All right. Matt, look at that thing, man.
Nice fish, bro.
Woo! Dude, I hit right at the edge of the crud, and I saw it swirl, and I thought, oh, he missed it. And I saw my line just going like this, and I went, shunk. I got a big bird's nest, and I don't care.